Welcome, you guys, to the call. This is the official name of this call is Live Free Love Q&A call with me, Lori Spagna, and it's entitled, How Can I Feel Confident Communicating with the Animals I Love and Care For? So welcome again to the call, and just for those of you who are new to my work or new to me or new to being on calls with me, I just want to give you a brief bio. My name is Lori Spagna. You can certainly learn all about me at lorispagna.com. You can also visit some of my older websites, ethelsgod.com, ethelsgoddogtraining.com, and ethelsgodspirit.com. Ethelsgod spells dog's life backwards, because when I started my business, which is now almost probably somewhere around 7.5 years ago, it was really just a teeny little startup dog training business. I started as a dog trainer, and I really wanted to make a huge difference for dogs. And as I learned and grew, and through my desire to be of service to animals globally, that was a huge request to the universe that I was making over and over again, and ultimately Creator had a bigger dream in mind for me than just a dog trainer. Not that there's anything wrong with dog trainers, because I absolutely love, respect, and admire them. Obviously, I am one. So you can go to those websites to learn more, and certainly if you're not already on my website, make sure you get on it so that you can get the free intro class to animal communication. I'm not going to go into what it is, because you can get that there and listen to it, what it is and why it's real. And also on the website is a free intro class, MP3 class on your intuitive gifts and what that is and why it's real and how you can start to use it. And, of course, there's the Juicy Living ebook there as well. So go to the website, lorispagna.com, if you want to get more of those, if you haven't gotten them already. Now, aside from that, just the brief bio on me is that, if you haven't already heard it, I spent most of my life in corporate America, out of college, sitting behind a desk and really just basically slow death killing myself and feeling like an indentured slave to the system. I know a lot of people are going through that on planet Earth right now, and I knew that wasn't where I was supposed to be. And I was really miserable, and I was slowly killing myself with pharmaceutical drugs to mask over the problem, excessive pharmaceutical drugs, excessive amounts of alcohol in the evenings and on weekends, excessive amounts of cigarettes and caffeine. And I was doing all of this in an effort to deal with what I now know to be my incredibly powerful empathic gifts as an empath and intuitive gifts as a psychic intuitive, and I just didn't really know, because I didn't grow up in a family that was able to deal with this stuff, and we were basically taught in my family, smush it down, bite your lip, bite your tongue, zip your lip, pinch your wrist, but don't ever express outwardly. So all of that stuff was turned inward at me as self-hatred through these things like smoking and drinking and all of that. But the one joy that I had that never changed was that I loved animals. I loved animals so much, and I knew from the very beginning when I was very young that I always wanted to be of service to them and contribute to their well-being on planet Earth and to the betterment of their lives here. And I remember at the very young age of really young, playing with horses in my room, like as if they were real, and talking to them and just really feeling like they were, they were my imaginary friends. And lots of children have those experiences. And I also remember at the age of 7 going to SeaWorld for the very first time in Florida. And I remember sitting in there and being so profoundly affected by that, and walking out of the Shamu show saying to my father that I wanted to spend my life working with animals. And I remember very clearly at the age of 7 that at that point he told me that was not an appropriate job for me, because I would not make any money, and I could not survive doing that. And so, of course, it's not to make my father wrong. He's a wonderful man. I love him. He's amazing, but that was the belief system that he grew up with and was passed on to me. And part of my life's journey has been about transforming that and breaking out of it. So regardless of that, what happened was I went to Maui after my brother died of an unexpected drug overdose, and I started really realizing that I was having connection with him, that he was not in fact dead at all, even though he no longer had a body. And when I went to Maui, I learned how to help him cross over through the training that I was receiving and through the amazing people that I learned to connect with. And I got trained in a whole lot of alternative practices that we're now starting to learn about in the mainstream. And so I know from personal experience that I've moved from beyond believing that this stuff is real and into knowing, and that now my job after those 2 years in Maui of dealing with all this radically crazy stuff, which is now, no longer part of my life, transforming all of that and stepping into this self that I am now, which is now I just define myself as a light worker, animal communicator, empath, energy healer, intuitive, empowerment coach, all-around person that's just here to help people step into their divinity and their divine gifts through the lessons that animals teach us. I just know this all to be true. So I know that's like a really quick summary of me, but I just want to give you that background so you can, kind of understand a little bit about where I'm coming from, and just tell you this one last thing, and then we're going to move into the content. And what we're going to cover is just that I was the formal practices that I've been trained in that I tend to rely on in my work consist of the Akashic records, if you're familiar with those. If you don't, we can discuss them on another call. Also, obviously, animal communication. I was trained as a behavioral trainer with dogs by a gentleman who spent 20 years training government service dogs at Lackland Air Force for the United States government. I was trained as a theta healer on multiple classes with theta healing from the teacher known Vianna Stiebel. I was trained, by the way, my Akashic Records teacher was Linda Howe and Barbara Schiffman. I was trained in an energy practice called Kunlun, which is an ancient practice, and trained in emotional freedom technique and Reiki. So I'm a Reiki master, and I'm trained in Reiki level 1, 2, 3, Reiki master teacher. And I think I've just covered all my modalities that I can think of at the moment, but there's probably a few others in there I forgot. In any case, that's where most of my information comes from and where most of this will come through for you guys. So with that said, we're going to talk a little bit about animal communication today, really briefly, and then most of this call is going to be your questions of how you can start to feel confident communicating with animals, the animals that you love and that you care for, whether you're working with them or whether you're just living with them, or whether you're out in the wild with them or whether you're at a zoo with them. Wherever you are, all animals are able to communicate with us. They just don't speak English or French or Italian or German or those kinds of languages. So what is it that we know? So we know a lot of factual information about how we can communicate with them, and we know that they have parts of their bodies, that we have parts of our bodies that actually allow for this kind of exchange of information. And even though it's not a typical language like French or German or Italian, that as we learn to use this language that they are speaking, we're able to have this two-way dialogue. And the language that they are speaking, which, by the way, I call it Speak Wolf, is really a language of energy. And the language of energy is also a universal language of love. So this universal language of love is a language that every living being speaks. And the thing is that up until now, most humans are doing it very unconsciously. So when you interact with someone and they're you just don't like them, you don't even know why, maybe you do, maybe you don't, you're speaking a language of energy with that person that does not feel good. And in this case, the language of energy is vibrational inharmony, non-harmony between your beings. So you're basically, you've got some kind of push-pull resistance. And this can happen between animals and humans and animals. So some animals you might like better than others, and some animals you might respond to better. Well, it works the same way. Whether it's a human animal or a non-human animal, that's a language of energy. And in the reverse way, when you just meet someone and you just totally love them and you just love being around them and you feel good around them or uplifted or inspired by them, that's a language of energy. And it's showing up as you're in vibrational harmony with them, or your vibration is lifted by theirs. in some way that feels good and right for you. And again, same thing can happen with animals. If you're around an animal and you're just petting him and you feel lots of joy and happiness from just petting that animal and he's wagging his tail, you guys are in vibrational harmony. And we tend to not, up until now, have not really labeled this stuff. We've been unconscious about it. We haven't put words to describe it. But the animals, they never really needed to put words to describe it. They just were already always tuned into it. So when we talk about how can we become more effective at communicating with our animals, this is one of the very first things we need to know, more confident about communicating with our animals, is that they're speaking a universal language of energy. And this universal language of energy is universal. We all speak it. And as we can sort of become more conscious of it, that's when we can start becoming more effective with it and more confident at using it. So that said, what we're going to do here is we're going to take some questions and answers for the remainder of the call. I don't really want to do all kinds of presentation. I'd rather address what's most important to each of you guys. So what I'll do is I'll take you guys, I'm going to try to do, I forgot to check the Q&A queue, but what we're going to do is you're going to, I'm going to try to do it this way. Otherwise, I'll take you guys off mute. But I'm going to open up the Q&A queue, and you have to press a, let's just see. I forgot to check this. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll just open it up. I always forget to check the directions on how you get your questions answered in the queue. Here it is. I'm looking at this online while we go through this call. So you're going to be able to ask questions, and you can ask any question you want as long as it relates to the call itself, like the content of the call. So because I have 3 calls coming up, and by the way, if you're already on my list, you've already been given notice of those 3 calls, like so that you know. The next one is tomorrow, by the way, and it's called How Can I Feel Confident Using My Intuitive Gifts and Use Them to Improve My Life. That's tomorrow, Wednesday, February 6th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll do calls that are related to that tomorrow, questions that are related to that tomorrow. So today we'll keep it mostly focused on animals, energy, animal communication. But tomorrow will be more intuitive gifts. And then the third call is going to be a live energy healing for people and animals, the people and the animals that you love, and planet Earth too. And we'll also be talking about Reiki, the joy of Reiki. That free call is on Tuesday, February 12th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. So they're all 3 free. That third one will be a lot of energy. We're going to move energy flow through, and so you'll be able to learn more about the energy and how that works. So get on all of those calls. The free call-in number is the same one. Each time it's the same one that you got in the inbox through email. So again, and if you're listening to this in delayed playback, the way you find out about that, if you need to know, is to get on the newsletter list at lauriespagna.com. Okay, so that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put us into Q&A. So right now, I'm answering a question for a caller who is...
This is Darlene.
Hi, Darlene.
Yes. Hi.
Thank you for being on the call.
Yes, thank you for having it.
What's your question?
So I had asked before, I've been trying to communicate with my cat for a while. My cat's name is Shadow. And I want to be an animal communicator. And so can you tell if she's hearing me when I try to communicate with her?
Okay. This is a beautiful, awesome question, Darlene. Okay, where do you and Shadow reside?
In Florida.
Okay, beautiful. So one of the ways, this is such a great question, one of the ways we learn if the animal is able to, hear us, first of all, they always hear us. And they always are aware of our wishes and our wants. And when we're communicating with them, they're always getting it. It's just that they're not necessarily always in agreement with us. And sometimes they have points of views and perspectives that might prohibit them from necessarily listening. So or agreeing with us. So in this case, like with you and Shadow, of course Shadow's hearing you, of course Shadow's aware. It's just that there's another agenda involved, so to speak. This is what I'm understanding, and this is typically the case when our animals aren't listening to us or aren't agreeing with us or aren't doing what we want them to do. There might just be another agenda, and typically the other agenda from a global point of view has to do with something they need us to understand that we're not understanding. So one of my favorite quotes, and I actually can't even remember who said this, is, a lot of people are talking to animals, but not a lot of people are listening to them. So when we make those requests, and to answer your question very specifically, yes, as I'm understanding, Shadow is hearing you, but are you hearing Shadow? And Shadow,
I go to my third eye to try to see if she's sending me any, signals, diagrams, anything like that, and I don't get anything.
Okay, so that's beautiful. That's awesome. You're already starting to practice it, obviously. So the only thing I would say about that, though, is it's always a question of whose agenda is running the show here. And with our animals, a lot of times it's the animal's agenda who's going to actually run the show. Because when we're using energy is more powerful than words, words can necessarily be. So if your agenda is, okay, I'm going to go to my third eye and I'm going to see if this animal is sending me any information, and I'm going to sit here with my third eye waiting for information, that's potentially great. But if that's not your animal's agenda, it's not going to make a difference. So it's more about really learning how to become empty on this one. You see? Learning how to become empty and determine what does this animal want from me, rather than I'm going to go to my third eye and try it there. Third eye, that's great. It's great what you're doing. I'm not saying it's wrong or bad. It's just that there's more to it, deeper level. Make sense?
So I have to become empty, meaning always be listening to what. I mean, because is she always talking to me, trying to make me understand?
Well, animals in general, for those of you who haven't heard me say this before, I'm going to say it again. Animals, because I haven't said it on this call, animals in general are functioning in 1, 2, or 3 capacities. Either they're just simply companion animals, and they don't necessarily have a mission other than to be a companion animal. That's rare, actually. Those kinds of animals typically end up lost in the streets or in rescue, some kind of, foster home or rescue home. They're not really deeply bonded to anybody. They might, run into early accidents like getting hit by cars and things like that. The second capacity is they're healers in addition to their role as a companion animal. They might be healers for the planet and not be companion animals. For example, whales and dolphins, great example of that. So they're healers energetically. And then the third capacity is that they're teachers. And even if they're not a companion animal, there's lots of teacher animals who aren't companion animals. So they can overlap in any of the areas. So this animal Shadow is clearly a teacher for you, because this animal Shadow, from what I'm understanding, anyway, from your dialogue with me and our connection, I'm not actually doing a reading with Shadow, but I'm definitely receiving this information, hearing it, understanding it, that Shadow is a teacher for you. And so this cat Shadow is teaching you how to become more effective in your gifts that you're already practicing. Is that making sense?
Yes, I believe that too.
Yeah. So, we humans, we have this perspective and this stuff where we're just like, we want to figure it out, we want it right, we want it now, give me the pill, pop the pill, let's do it right now, get it right, all that. But that's not part of this agenda that this cat has. This cat's agenda is to teach you, and sometimes through that learning process, there's some challenges that we, not everything's always so easy to master or to become good at, right? And so, part of it is you continuing your work and your training and your learning so that you can develop this. Make sense? Yeah. I know that's not entirely all the answer there, but there's more to it, obviously. There's always more. But definitely this cat's showing up as a teacher, and part of your job is to learn how to do more with this.
Yeah, I mean, I've been studying energy healing and healing, spiritually, and for a while, like 4 years. And I'm not working, so it makes it much harder, because I can't take the courses. So, so I just wanted to just get more insight,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the thing there for when I do readings with people. I will share this, and we go into this more in classes and stuff, but the whole thing about, I don't want to digress from this because I could go in a million directions with this, but what I do here is, when you get this recording, listen to it again, because there was a lot of good information that we just gave you, that was just given to you. Right there is gift, and part of our job is to learn how to receive that stuff and really, really fully allow that, because we can't move to a next level of getting better until we receive at the level we're already at. And so even just the whole information of just sitting with this and knowing that you're being taught something and that you're going to get better, and this cat is a teacher for you, right there, if you can really receive that, that's when you'll be able to move to the next level, the next step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurie.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for your question. Okay. So I'm going to go to the next person now. So I'm going to put you back on mute.
Okay.
Or you can star 6 yourself. There you go. And this next person is Joan. Joan? You there? Okay, maybe not. So I'll go to the next person. Okay, so the next person is in... Who's this?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Marquetta.
Hi, Marquetta. How are you?
I'm...
Uh-oh. Somehow we just got you on mute. Sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, you're there. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Okay, I'm calling from Canada, actually.
Woohoo.
From Vancouver.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. And actually, I just wanted to say, until the whole Hawaii thing, you told my story. It actually brought me to tears. That was my story.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm so glad. That makes me, I understand, because I've been there. I get that.
Yeah, and I'm actually there right now.
You're in Hawaii right now?
No. I'm at that point right now.
I get
point.
it. I understand.
I can feel it. I have 3 little dogs, and they came into my life in a bizarre kind of way right before my life fell apart. And so I believe they are here to teach me something. I just need to figure out what. I've been doing quantum touch on the nervous one and had really good results with that. And right now my house just sold under foreclosure, so I'm going to be homeless with these dogs. And they're having a hard time. They're feeding off me, so I want to know how I can help them, how I can hear them on how to help them get through this.
Okay.
As well as myself.
All right. So the first thing I want to say, if it's okay, first of all, I need these dogs' names to connect more deeply with them, but I just want to say what I heard you say, Marquetta, is that you're going to be homeless.
Yeah.
And what I want to say to you is that doesn't have to be the case. I know it's easy for me to just say that, but what I would like to do, and I don't want to digress, but I definitely want to encourage you. First of all, please be on the call tomorrow and the energy call next week, because we'll be able to address that stuff more, since this is not so focused on animals. But I want to encourage you, even tonight, to embrace your power and step into, I don't know how this could change for the better, but I know it is changing for the better right now, and I'm open to receiving that.
Okay.
So you don't have to be homeless. You're not homeless today. And it hasn't happened yet in terms of linear time. And so because it hasn't happened yet, you don't have to project that and create that in your future. That means in terms of linear time, there's still time for Source, Creator, God to surprise you. Or even if it's not Creator God that you're buying into, the field of physics, of possibility, infinite potential, that can create some kind of incredible surprise for you.
Okay.
All right. So, again, we can go more deeply into that kind of stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get... Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so it's Denver, Rosie, and Misty.
Okay. Okay. 3 words. That are coming up right away from each one. Okay, from Denver, clarity. From Rosie, power. From Misty, release. I'm just asking, right? This is what's coming up.
Okay.
So this tells me, and as I translate it, as animal communicators, we're translators of information. When I train people in animal communication, of course I'm going to let you know how you can learn more about becoming animal communicators, but what I'm doing is training people how to translate the information that comes through. Okay. So when I translate this, as I understand it, you're being called to get clear, step into your power, release what's no longer serving you.
Okay.
And step into your power again. Actually, I'm seeing an arrow go back to that. So this is a big thing, right? Yeah. You're not powerless to make change, especially with the homeless part of it that we were discussing earlier. But part of it does require you to get clear with your connection to Source, Creator, your own high self, the part of you that has the answers, that does supply and provide, and release the stuff that's in your way energetically. Release the thoughts even, the projections that would have you be homeless in a week or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And ask how you can change this situation fast and in a way that's most benevolent for you and your animals.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest thing I really want you to know is you do not have to be homeless.
Okay.
And
I just know that Misty, when I get down, she becomes a clown. If I start to project negativity, she'll start dancing around on her hind legs and do anything at all possible to get my mind off of it and make me laugh. And then the other one just gets nervous.
Well, they definitely do that. I mean, that's part of their role, and that's part of what they do. I mean, when we get sucked into the drama and trauma of life, it's really because there's something we have to let go of and step into the divinity of who we are. What we have to let go of is all that drama and trauma, all those points of view that you could ever be homeless. And ask, what are you here to heal? I mean, I could spend an hour and a half on this, Marquetta, but definitely it sounds like you're clearing something from another reality where you existed as someone who's homeless. And this time around, you get to fix it and clear it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, certainly, I know, again, these are like short little questions and answers, but, at least you can start with that and then be on the call again tomorrow.
Okay,
right?
So the best way to help them is to work on me.
Yeah, well, those words, right? Get clear, get yourself clear.
Yeah.
Release what's holding you down, and this can be stuff even in the physical, right? If that house has been holding you down or being a burden, then look more like, okay, great. So we can release this house in love, and I'm sure there's a better, more appropriate home for us.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. That is really, just through these animals, by you asking that question, that's a lot of good stuff right there. And ask Source to deliver a better, more appropriate home for you that's more in harmony with your lifestyle, that will allow your 3 dogs and you to live in a way that really feels good and right for you, something that feels good and right for you, that works for you, and that's readily accessible to you right now. You don't have to know how. You don't have to figure that out. Just ask the right questions and set yourself up energetically to step into your power of really, I know I'm making it sound so simple. I get that it's not this simple, but it is this simple. It's just, these are the answers. And as you practice this more and more, you get on calls like this. This is why we do free calls, and you get on calls like this, and you get yourself in alignment with people who are sharing this kind of information, and you start practicing it, the shifts will happen.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
And that brings to mind it's simple, maybe not easy, but it is simple.
Yeah, it's easier than we think, and it's more about reprogramming. It's reprogramming. You got to think of it. We've been programmed. We're reprogramming ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you
thanks, honey. I'm going to put you back
Okay.
on mute. Okay, so I'm going to go to Linda. Linda. Last 4 digits, 9628. Are you there?
I'm here. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hi.
I am so glad I got through. I have a dog, and he's 1.5. He's a little terrier, 20 pounds, and we have also cats that we played with a little laser, and he played with it too. And now he has like a compulsive disorder. When we go to the park, instead of playing with the dogs, he'll stand there in the sun and try to chase shadows. So I've tried to kind of communicate, constantly, but I haven't been able to break this behavior. And I mean, we can spend 3 or 4 hours and he will stay there and just be mesmerized by the shadows to the exclusion of all the dogs running over him. And
Yeah, got it. What's this dog's name?
his name is Loki.
Loki?
Yes.
Okay. So, Linda, here's what I'm hearing about this, is that this is not a thing that can be corrected with communication alone. There's an energetic imbalance, and that needs to be brought into balance.
Okay.
So part of that, by the way, for you definitely want to be on that Reiki call, the energy call that's next week, because we can, get some energy flowing there and working with that. But I'm not getting that this is something you can necessarily communicate with the dog and say, hey, get yourself in balance. A lot of times with the people that I work with when I do private sessions, what happens is they'll say, can you tell my dog not to do this? Or can you tell my cat not to do this? Or can you communicate to them not to do healing on me? Or these kinds of things. And that's sort of like, a lot of times it's sort of like, going to a, let's just say a compulsive eater and saying, don't go to McDonald's anymore. Or, an alcoholic and say, not that our animals are those things, but like just imagine if you went to an alcoholic and said, don't drink anymore. They'd be like, yeah, I know I shouldn't. But then they do it again. So sometimes when we have kind of certain things that are either compulsive or that are sort of, we've learned them as a practice, breaking that habit is not just a matter of communication or telling them. It's really, the communication will help us to know, oh, yeah, this is something I just don't know how to break. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just keep doing it. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just keep doing it. That's the communication would help with that to understand.
Right.
But then you're really, in this case, taking it to a next step, which has to do more with energy work, to bring his body and his left and right brain hemispheres back into more balance.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Make sense?
It totally makes sense, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
so,
you.
again, be on the call next week because we'll be doing energy work, and that kind of energy work really does make a difference with that stuff.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Linda. Okay, I'm going to put you back on mute. And I'm going to take the next call. This is...
Hello.
Hi. Who is this calling? It's 1610. I can see your last name. I don't want to say that. Hi,
this
Karen.
Is Karen.
Oh, hi, Karen.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I just I have one dog that passed, and I talk to him constantly. I miss him terribly, and I feel his presence, but I don't know if there's anything that you can sense that he wants me to know.
What's his name?
Watson.
Watson? And it's a dog? Was it a dog?
Yes, yeah, he's a Beagle Basset.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, of course I know that. All right, so let me just, okay, well, scrupulously watching, very closely, these are the words that are being given to me right away. Scrupulously watching very closely. And that's fascinating to me because when you say the words that you know he's around you and you feel he's around you, when I get the word scrupulously watching very closely, that to me makes absolute sense, right? I'm just asking, what's going on here? What's important for me to communicate? What do I need to translate? What do you want me to know and share? And those are the words that are giving me. And so it's almost validating what you're saying already, that you feel his presence around you. And is he really around you? And that makes a lot of sense. And
is there anything?
The other thing that's coming through is student in training. So that you have a lot of learning to do, and you are effectively, as I'm understanding, a student in training, that there's a lot of learning for you to do at this time. And, of course, these animals can facilitate with that, we know. You might be interested, one of the classes that's coming up is Animals in the Afterlife. I'm going to tell you guys how you can find out more about that, but that's probably a really great class for you to check in on if you want to learn about that more. I definitely do get that this animal's around you and that your sense of that is accurate. So it largely becomes more about learning how to, again, this is an animal communication thing, how to understand those messages that are coming through. But, those are the big things that I'm understanding for you here, Karen, that you're a student, that there's a lot for you to be learning. There's a lot of opportunity for you to learn more. This dog's sticking around for you and facilitating part of that.
I have some trouble because I still have a lot of grief. He passed almost 3 years ago, and I somehow I feel a little guilty that he passed, and I still do grieve him.
Yeah, for sure, of course. Well, I mean, Of course we grieve them when they leave. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just feel like because he got into something that I think he wasn't supposed to eat, and I think it was my fault, and I feel really guilty about that.
Yeah. Well, this, again, I really go into depth in this in Animals in the Afterlife, but it's not like you can really do that. You see, we live in a free will reality, whether we know it or not, and so from a spiritual metaphysical perspective, we agree to these things before they actually even happen. We agree to all of it because it's part of our own soul's expansion and learning. And so from that point of view, this dog agreed to go through that, as did you, because there's lessons in there. There's evolution for both of you in that experience. And, just not only that, but animals in the afterlife, they teach us about the grieving process. They teach us about death and dying and rebirth and reincarnation and our own soul expansion. That's part of their role for us as teachers and healers. So that's part of what's going on there. And then, of course, all of the part about grief is there's so much to that we could go into, grief and guilt and all of that. A lot of that stuff is healing that needs to be done. I mean, again, we can cover that on the healing call next week. But grief and all of that stuff is not really what keeps us connected to the animals after they cross. In fact, that stuff, it's natural. I mean, I still certainly have times where I grieve my Kenya girl, who I've talked about many times when I discuss animals in the afterlife. But grief is not connection. Grief is separation from our connection to these beings. Grief is an experience of being separated from them and feeling as if we've lost them, when in reality they're still here in just a transmuted form, a new form without physicality. So that's part of it. And it doesn't mean the grief isn't real. I mean, I get it. I totally get that. I did a whole thing about this with the surviving the loss, the grief, turning the grief into a gift. And then the whole guilt part, that's a whole other thing too, because guilt really does, it's like an inward hatred. It's like guilt is something we turn inward at ourselves, where we're judging ourselves, hating ourselves, not forgiving ourselves, and all of those things need to be transmuted too into personal forgiveness and love and release. So that's part of what we do in the healing work. We do that in Animals in the Afterlife, and we do that in personal sessions and in healing. But that's stuff for you to look at, obviously. And yeah, of course, when you say that Watson's around you, of course he is, because this is work that needs to be done for you. Yeah, with you, by you. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's such a great being. And then is there anything that my beagle Cookie wants to say to me?
Ah, my gosh, that probably, you know what, that's a whole nother question. So, I really would love to answer that, but I want to be fair because I have a whole line of people asking questions, and we're moving towards the end of the call. So would you mind bringing that up at another future call with me, or in animal communication? You can definitely bring it to that class, or animals in the afterlife, okay? So I can move on to some other people, okay, Karen?
Sure.
All
Absolutely.
right, thank you.
Thank
you so much. All right, I'm going to put you back on mute. And I'm going to go to the next caller. And right before I open for the next caller, I just want to, because we're moving towards the end of the call. I mean, I could do this stuff all night. If you've ever been on any of my manifestation and healing circle calls, I can go on forever with this stuff. I love to do this work. I love to share this information with others. I love to teach others how to do it. It's one of my favorite things to do. So right before we go to this next caller, who I'm going to get, I just want to redirect you for just a moment to the website. You can go to LoriSpagna.com, and on that page, you can look up the 3 next classes that are already announced. The first one is Learn Animal Communication Level 1, which you're learning a little bit about how that works and seeing how it works now. And that's under workshops. There's a link there that will take you right to it. So you just go to LoriSpagna.com, look at the workshops link, and go to Learn Animal Communication Level 1. That class is coming up and being offered via teleseminar. It's 8 consecutive weeks. It's also being offered live in person over a weekend workshop. So you have your choice. It's 8 consecutive weeks every Tuesday beginning February 19th, Tuesday, February 19th at 4 p.m. Pacific, this same time. The calls all get recorded, and they all get sent to you via your inbox. So you have them to own. The live weekend workshop class for that is Saturday, March 23rd, and Sunday, March 24th. It's live in Los Angeles from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. For both of those classes, we'll be discussing how you can learn to communicate with animals more effectively. You'll learn about things like how to know if they're happy, if they're healthy, what they want from you, what their needs are, what their favorite foods are, really what they want to share with you, what they're teaching to you, aspects of you, and what, things like what kind of veterinary treatments they might need or holistic treatments they might need, how you can facilitate their healing and yours. Those kinds of things. You'll also learn how to help them if you work with them, how to keep them calm and relaxed in stressful situations, and so many other things. You can go to that website that I gave you, LoriSpagna.com, and check that out. And actually, there's an early bird special, which actually expired on Monday, but I will extend it 24 hours through tomorrow for the animal communication class, actually probably till the next day, even after that. So you can still save $25 if you register up until this next class tomorrow. I'll probably extend 24 hours after that, and then I'll change this offer to the regular price of $375. But right now, you can save $25 and register, and all of it's right there. And by the way, when you register, you get the free ebook, Learn to Communicate with Animals, a step-by-step guide, and the e-workbook. It's valued at $297. So that comes with your class when you register. And there is one other thing there that you can invite a friend for $300 and split the price of the class. So you can learn more about that there. So I'm going to do a next call now, and we'll do a few more calls, a few more questions. Okay, so let me just open up the line for the next person. And the next person is, I just unmuted you. The last 4 digits of your call is 6488 of your phone number. Who's there? You there?
This is Marie. And
hi, Marie.
I live in the Houston area.
Hi.
Hi. I have been doing animal communication, just learning it for a while now, and I am able to communicate with them and receive messages most of the time.
Awesome.
Except for this one situation I have. It's Cosmo Kitty. He just chases Silly Kitty all the time, and Silly is scared of him. And I have not been able to figure out what's going on.
What I'm picking up right away is that Cosmo Kitty doesn't really, as I understand it, is just having a good time. He doesn't really care about the repercussions. And he's sort of not really going to be able to be controlled, this kind of kitty. He's sort of like out there. And definitely not, he's just having a good time. So if that makes sense to you, check in with that. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. What's that?
I think you're right on. He just woke up and he's looking right at me now.
Isn't that funny?
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, you may want to learn some behavioral stuff. I mean, I have another program that's not really available at this moment, but it's called Spiritual Dog Training. It actually works with cats, too. And it's a little bit adjusted for the cats, but you might want to learn more about some behavioral stuff that you can do with that, because this is one of those things that would really need to be addressed more behaviorally. Again, because communication gives us information, and sometimes it absolutely works when you say to a kitty or a dog, or, hey, this isn't working for me. I'd really like you to stop it. And if you don't, they get cause and effect way better than we humans do. They understand the laws of cause and effect. So if you say to Cosmo Kitty, you can just talk to him and be like, hey, when you chase Silly Kitty around like that, it really brings more stress in our home. It's a problem for us.
Yeah,
if you would stop, we'd be more relaxed. That would feel better.
Well,
that works a lot of times.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I'll keep up with that then, because I started doing that. I've only done it a couple of times, but it has not made any difference so far. But I'll keep up with that.
Yeah. And again, I mean, if you listen to this call in delayed playback, remember the part about agendas, because sometimes there's other agendas. I mean, when I ask about the other agendas, I definitely get that it has to do with Silly Kitty, and there's some of that, Silly Kitty stepping out of victim mode, being a victim, and I do get also, Marie, that's connected to you as well and part of your learning. So see if that resonates for you. We all on planet Earth have some victim programming here that we're transmuting and changing that at this time. We are all stepping out of our victimhood and into our personal empowerment. That's part of what we're learning right now. And it's required of us here on planet Earth, so our animals are teaching us that too. I'm getting that from Silly Kitty. So see if that resonates for you as well. All right, Marie, I'm going to put you back on mute. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Okay, I'm going to put you back on mute. I'm going to go to the next caller. And I also just want to redirect you too, guys, because I didn't tell you about the other two classes. Right before I go to the next caller, you can see on that LoriSpagna.com the other two classes that are listed, by the way, which the other one is Animals in the Afterlife, and then the Psychic Intuitive Development, which really, it's not necessarily about becoming a psychic. I mean, we'll talk about that tomorrow, so I won't go into it too much now, but it's really about using your innate awareness, your innate gifts, to develop them to serve you and others. But I'm not going to go into that one now. But Animals in the Afterlife, that's a class coming up, and that's really about connecting with the animals who have crossed, learning about the death and dying process of our animal companions, learning how to reconnect with them. And this does apply to the human variety of animals as well. It's also about dealing with the grief of the loss and transmuting that. Now, that's a 6-week teleseminar. That's beginning on Tuesday, February 26th. That's a 12 noon Pacific class, 3 p.m. Eastern. Again, you don't have to be on the calls live because they are recorded and they're sent to you in your inbox. So these are really great for people who work with animals, who have animals who have crossed, rescue workers, veterinarians, techs, assistants, dog trainers, behaviorists, especially if you work with animals in pet stores or zoos or aquariums. People who work with animals inevitably are dealing with the grief that comes with loss, because they don't live as long as us. Their lifespans aren't as long. And this really can help with that, especially if you're in any kind of holistic healing or spiritual counseling, learning how to do this, connect with them, and the whole process of, the crossing and what happens before, during, and after. that's the stuff we cover. That really helps if you're already working in this field in some capacity as well, learning how to deal with that stuff and help others who are dealing with it too. And again, there's a special, that's a $375 class as well. There's a special of saving $25, which did expire on Monday, but I will extend it to the end tomorrow. So you'll have another day if you want to get on that. And that also allows you to bring a friend for only $300 so that person saves, and then you can split the discounted amount that you save. And that also comes with a free downloadable, the ebook on Animals in the Afterlife, and the double audio CD set, and that's valued at $197. So a lot more value in there. Plus, there's another extra gift in there too. I think you can link through right there to listen to that there, but that's all about the grief class. So you can go there, dealing with the grief. All right, so I'm going to go to the next caller and take another question. So let me unmute the next person, and that person is the last 4 digits. It looks like you're in Hawaii, 3966.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello, who's this?
This is Debbie, and I talked to you a couple days ago on another call.
Hi, Debbie.
I had the cat named Loverboy.
Oh, yeah.
Was kind of, standoffish and stuff because we left him, and now my husband and I are both leaving for the day and going to work and coming back, and every once in a while he's standoffish, and like the other night he didn't come home. But I did do the process on him and helped clear him of the entities and stuff. And
awesome.
Funny because he just jumped up and ran out the door.
So wait a second, he ran out the door like everything was fine, and he's an indoor-outdoor cat, isn't he? Did you say that? Do I remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good, in other words, you're saying, right?
Oh, it was excellent. It was
awesome.
Yippee, I'm happy and I'm light and I'm out of here. Bye.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, see, these processes that we learn, I mean, there's so much more. Obviously, a 1-hour call doesn't really get us too deep into too much. We can only do these little superficial things, but that's awesome. So in 5 minutes on the last call, you got a process that you could use at home with Loverboy that really worked, and you saw the results right away.
Yeah, it was cool.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
I wanted to share that with you. But the funny thing is we both leave for work and we come back the next night and he stays out all night. But I think he's just out partying, having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, you could go into that more. The whole thing about indoor-outdoor cats is you always want to make sure you know that they're safe. And obviously, when they're an outdoor cat, there's challenges with that because you can't control everything outside. But and that's a whole other kind of conversation that could take a while. But just make sure he's safe out there to the best of your ability. I mean, some cats will never leave their own property and they just stay in the backyard, and that's great. As long as you really know that this cat doesn't like running streets and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not necessarily tuned in on him right now. I do get that this cat is really bonded to you and he's not going anywhere, so that's great. So just make sure he's safe,
Yeah, he's really got a really safe neighborhood, and he knows where he can go and where he can't go and needs who to stay away from and not to, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I totally get that. I've definitely known stories where cats were indoor cats, and that's great because we keep them safe that way. And then the second they could get out, they just dashed out, and they knew that coming home would mean they would be stuck inside again, so they chose to leave and get hit by a car. So it's like I'm not necessarily a huge advocate of saying keep your cats inside all the time. I am a huge advocate of making sure we do effective animal communication with them to help them understand boundaries like street lines and to really understand that they understand about that kind of stuff. That's one of the perfect ways being a really effective animal communication person can help, because if a cat understands boundaries and property lines and streetcars, and we teach that, and I definitely teach that in animal communication, how to do that, how to teach an animal not to go into streets, and it does work with cats. Obviously we can't say 100% all the time, everywhere, always, but we definitely can say it does work, just like clearing those entities worked for you. So fabulous, beautiful.
Yeah, I've told him a couple of times. He got into a fight with a feral cat that came in one time, and I go, okay, next time do not get into a fight, run. And I think he did the one night. He came running in.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So glad. Well, thanks, Debbie. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I wanted to tell you I appreciated it.
My pleasure. I hope you'll join us for a class.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
All right, so I'm going to put you back on mute and go to the next caller because I still have quite a few, and I know we're coming towards the end of this call, but I'd love to take the calls, as many as I can. So we'll go to the next person, who is, okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to take, this person is the last 4 digits here. This is so funny because this keeps clicking up. All right, so you know what I need to do? The first couple people, I need to kind of drop you out of this section here because I'm not able to get to these other people. If you are in the queue, how do I get you out of the queue? Can you get yourself out? Do you guys know how to do that? I don't know how to do that. Yeah, get yourself out of the queue because this way I can get to these other callers. I don't know how to do that. I gotta learn how to do this. All right, so there is a person here who's got a question. I got it here. Who is, I think this is Tricia. Let me see. I'm not sure. This is Tracy. Tracy?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Hi there. I'm so glad you took my call.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Loud and
clear. Wonderful. I would like to get some information, if I could, to help me in communicating with my guys. I'm an animal rights activist. I have 3 dogs at home, 2 that are rescues. I work in a pet sitting. I'm like all about the animals. I got a directive as a child at 7, save animals.
Yeah,
so
we have divine missions.
Yes, and it came to me very loud and clear. I'm vegan. It's like a big deal to me, and so my frustration in my home life is that I don't seem to be able to pick up very well. What you said about being able to listen is so important, I think. I do my best to try to hear what's going on, but I'm not picking it up, and there are things that are going on in the household with my 3 guys and girls that I'm not quite sure how to deal with. So I'll give you an example, and maybe you could give me some advice on how I can be of better service to my fur kids. My oldest, Murphy, is my heart dog. He is my heart dog. And I went through a divorce recently, and it was devastating, and I have seen him suffer it. He's a golden retriever. He went white in the face within 6 months. And he is started to exhibit some physical symptoms, some strange physical symptoms, and I can't tell if they are physical or if they are emotional, and I'm trying to connect to him, but I'm not getting anything. All I'm getting is sad. That's what I get. I get sad when I try to connect, and so I don't know what to do or how to be of service.
Okay. Well, let me tell you this. The way to always be of service to our animals, really, inevitably, is to heal ourselves.
Right.
I mean, I'm really oversimplifying here, but at the same time, I'm really not. So, of course, I totally understand this. I totally hear you about Murphy going through this stuff. And, of course, you said it yourself. It's related to your divorce. I mean, my dog, Kenya, she took on all my pain, all my grief, all my sadness after my divorce. She healed me through it. And that's a large part of what they do. So, obviously there's healing work to do there. Definitely get on the Reiki call. It's a free energy healing call for animals and people next week, so be on that. That said, I will say this too. As animal communicators, as we're learning to be animal communicators, developing our gifts and our abilities and our talents to do this, I mean, I went through a lot of formal training. I connect with I train a lot of other animal communicators who have come to me and said, I learned from this person or I learned from that person, it's still not working, or I've been doing it at home, it's still not working. And I do know that my process is very different from what most animal communicators teach and train. And the reason that it's really different is because it's harder to communicate a lot of times, at least in the beginning, it's harder to communicate with your own animals. It's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
we are deeply in there. It's almost like sometimes you need, if you think about like marriage therapy, you need a third party neutral person to help facilitate the communication. Not always, but certainly when it's deep stuff.
Right.
So, that's part of the learning process, and working with third-party people, it really does facilitate that. I work with a lot of animal communicators who are great, but they still come to me and are like, okay, I need a third-party person. I know. And I know even for me, I have people that I go to, and I'm like, okay, I need you to help me with this because I'm a little hazed on it. So, or, confused about it or blocked or whatever. So that's why we have each other. That's one of the great things about being in a class, because you meet other people, even through the telesummit. It's wide open. I don't do this mute. Everybody's open on the calls that I do, and we have interactive dialogue, and people can interrupt and ask questions, and things come up and all that. So you make friends and contacts. We exchange phone numbers of everybody in the class and email addresses so that they can know each other even after the calls are done. And the other thing, too, I want to say is that I started to say before is I've had people come to my classes. In fact, even in the last class, this happens a lot. People come and they'll be like, I studied with this person and this person, or I did 2 classes and nothing's worked. I'm still not feeling confident about animal communication. Mm-hmm. And what they're missing is some of the ways that I teach, which is accessing different brain waves, accessing different parts of the body. I do energy clearings on the people. We clear blocks in the classes, especially in the level 2 class. I do a lot more of that, and that is what they're needing. That makes it different. A lot of animal communication classes, they teach you basically close your eyes, go into a meditation, and just bring this animal to mind, and now that's how you start doing it. And it's not really to belittle those classes, because that's definitely part of it, but it's really not enough to take us to that level of, I know what I'm doing, I definitely feel confident about this, I definitely feel like I know this information is coming accurately, I can own it as mine, and still say, you know what, it's a communication, I'm an interpreter, but I feel really good and confident about it. And when you get to that level 2, you definitely start moving into a kind of knowing and a kind of confidence that really allows you to see the results very fast and really know that you're being effective, because you start to get feedback, just sort of similar to what Debbie shared only a few moments ago. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole lot of information there, Tracy. But you
right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm actually working with someone who is psychic, and I've been developing that ability, and I'm feeling much more confident with my ability to pick up energies. But for some reason, and it must be because they're just too close, when it comes to my own guys, I'm not feeling confident at all. And I think what's happening for me is that I'm beginning to feel like I'm failing them. So that whole thing is coming into play. It's like, well, if I can pick up this, which, this person is in a different state, why can I not? Murphy's laying his head on my lap right now. Why can I not pick it up? Not the distance really matters. But why can I not take care of my own guys?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, I understand that. I mean, I hear that all the time. And I will say that's definitely part of the learning process. It's a door that is basically in front of you, and you're ready to walk through, and you have to figure out how to get the keys to work in the lock.
Right. Okay.
You see, so that's where you're at right now. Everybody goes through that in the learning process. It's totally normal, and you need to take it to a next step. And I mean, that's why I do the class, right? I mean, that's what I do for a living. So, I mean, I can train you for right now, but obviously we don't have that time. So, but you're where you're supposed to be. You're getting some support and training. I will say that it's always great. I mean, I'm glad to hear that you're working with someone. I'm not sure if that person's an animal communicator. I mean, we all have these abilities, and I definitely am a person who believes in ongoing training. I've studied and trained with a ton of people. I mentioned a few of them in the beginning of the call, and I always encourage all my students to be perpetual students. I can definitely see there's quite a few of my students on the call right now, so be a perpetual student. Keep studying, keep training yourself, keep learning. That's how we step into our mastery. Learning never ends. Even angels, when you start connecting with angels, tell you all the time they're still learning. I've had stuff go on with my own angels and my own guidance, and I'll talk about this more tomorrow, and they're like, I'll sometimes get kind of pissed off about the guidance or something, and they're like, whoa, we're learning how to be better teachers too. So, it's a process. And it's not like we're really learning, because we really do on aspects of ourselves know it all. But, from our points of view and our perspectives and our levels of awareness, and it's all a process. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Is there anything just quickly that you could say that Murphy may be trying to tell me that I'm not understanding?
Healing. There's healing to do. Lots of healing. And I wouldn't treat that healing lightly. I'm getting that this is not something to sit back. I'm getting that this needs attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely be on the call next weekend. I mean, if you want to do private healing sessions, I absolutely do that too. I do one-on-one. In fact, if you go to my website, LoriSpagna.com, you can look on the page that says private sessions, and you can learn all about the empowerment coaching sessions. And what I will say about this is, when I do empowerment coaching sessions with clients, that's not like a 20-minute session. That's not like a 30-minute session. That's like when we have the time to really get into it with real empowerment coaching clients. 100% of the time, 100% of my empowerment coaching clients notice immediate, dramatic results 100% of the time that improve their lives and the lives of their animal companions. So definitely invite those of you who want to work in private sessions with me to do that. All right, Tracy, I'm going to put you. Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. I'm going to take one last call and question, and we'll do one last one. Hopefully, kind of quick. Let me just see, because I saw one person on here with their hand up, and I wanted to add one. I mean, there's a whole list of you, but there was someone else in there that had not gotten their question answered, and I wanted to. Here she is. I spoke with her earlier today. Okay, Tricia.
Hey. Thanks for talking earlier today. I have a young 9-month-old kitten named Ocean who was rescued from a tragedy, and not only is he an amazing healer, and he has had 3 near-death experiences, but he also now has female genitalia, but has also been sick his entire life as well. And I was just wondering if you can give me any kind of insight into what is going on and why literally going from a he to a she, and this is not the first kitten that has done that in my tribe. So if you could share any insight.
What's your birthday? I mean, I don't want to go off on the numerology thing, but I'm just curious.
January 6th, Capricorn.
Okay. All right. So you're all about 5 learning. You got big year last year, big year this year.
Yeah.
So big year next year too. Okay. So your kitty's teaching you a lot about this, obviously. But what you really got going on with this kitty that I'm picking up, and I know I'm giving you fast answers. I don't always like to do that. I like to, in my training, do more of leading people into learning how to find the answers, but this is a short 5-minute reading. So this cat has stuff from other realities, other existences, parallel existences stored up in the unconscious brain that need to be addressed and cleared.
Okay.
So that's like deep inner work, and definitely not something you can do in 2 minutes. You need yeah, but definitely there's a lot of power there and a lot of force, and it's more about taming it. I sometimes use this analogy. If you look at a forest fire and you look at a match, which one's more powerful, the forest fire or the match?
Right.
And the thing is how do you tame a forest fire and harness the power of that? Because the real power is in the match. Match can light a forest fire. It can also light a candle. It can also, create a fire in the house. Like the match is more powerful. The forest fire is just out of control. So what you've got that's an example of what's going on with this kitty, as I'm understanding it.
Yeah. Yeah. He is also one of 16 that have reincarnated back to me.
So right there, now you've just really validated that. If you just validated the whole reading I just gave you, if you tell me this cat's reincarnated back to you and lots of them are coming back to you, what that tells me is there's past life traumas and dramas, which if you listen to this call again, you will hear that I just said that, past life trauma and dramas that need to be cleared. He's coming back to you because they need to be addressed and cleared. So that's part of what we work on in Animals in the Afterlife a little bit. We go into that stuff. So you might want to get in on that class, but definitely, I hope that was helpful anyway, because I know it's just a few minutes. Yeah, we can always go into that stuff in more depth, privately if you want to.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Tricia. Oh, thank you for that question. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to put you back on mute. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap up this call now, you guys, but I definitely want to remind you we're going to do another call like this tomorrow. So if you have questions from this call, just to let you know what to expect, we're going to do another one tomorrow. And you can bring those up. We want to focus more tomorrow on our intuitive gifts and abilities. And, of course, I invite you to write down any questions from this call and bring them up tomorrow. Also, definitely you can, please do go back to my website and check out the services there, the workshops that are coming up, the Animals in the Afterlife, the Learn Animal Communication Level 1. There's a Level 2 that comes up following it afterwards, and the Psychic Intuitive Development Level 1. There's also a Level 2 for that that's coming up afterwards. And I also am going to be doing, after the Animals in the Afterlife class, there's going to be a Locating Lost Animals class by Teleseminar as well. So check that out at lauriespagna.com. You'll see all of those details there. You can also learn about the private coaching sessions. I love to do the free calls. They're really fun. And obviously I do this. This is my living. I do it for a living as well. So, when you participate in the stuff that I do as a living, that's what enables me to continue to do my work. So I would love to have those of you who want to participate and learn more and learn how to do this and apply it in your life, definitely join me for those and join me tomorrow. And the last thing I just want to wrap up with is this little bit. I have been using animal communication and the gifts of animal communication in my life now for so much of my life, not always professionally, but certainly for as long as I can remember. And animal communication combined with energy work and intuitive work really is transformative, not just for animals but for humans. My sessions are not just about the animal. They're about the human. They're about really how everything is connected and the intricate bond that we share with our animals in our lives, not just personally, but in terms of our neighborhood, in terms of our work, in terms of our physical environment, our emotions, our mind. Like, it's the whole connection. It's a very holistic approach so that we can really find out what's going on with us, with them, and what we're really meant to get to in terms of the lessons and the healing. So it's very integrative, and I definitely invite you all to start joining me in this stuff because it's life-changing. It really is. And if you remember the beginning of my story, this is what I've been doing to change my life and improve my life for the better. And the results, I always say I'm the living experience of the truth of why it's real. Like, I am just I'm just an example that anyone could follow, whether it's getting off of stopping drinking excessively or pharmaceutical drugs or changing your career. That's a perfect example. Losing weight, having better relationships with animals, applying it to all the areas of our life, even changing the finances in our life. This stuff is real. It works, and I just call myself a living example of it. So anyway, with that, I'm going to let you guys all go, and I'm going to take us all off mute for today. Let me just unmute us so that we can all say goodbye. Hold on. Let's see. And then we should be all off mute unless you're on star 6. There's a couple of you who are on star 6, but if you star 6 yourself, you can just all say goodbye now. You guys all there?
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
I love hearing your voices, you guys. I love this part. Love you guys so much. Thank you for listening in and for loving your animals. And go out and be the love that you really are. Speak with you tomorrow. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.